Hi, this is Catherine Dubberly, the Answer Lady. What should you do if you put your machine away in working condition and when you get it back out again, it won't budge? Various pieces on the carriage seem frozen and non-functional. Let's ask Jack about this. Go.
All right, there's two things we're doing here today because the question was, my old carriage just is immobile and it was good when I put it up, so how do I soak it in a way that will free it up? And do I need to do this job?
And how do I keep from ruining anything on it?
That's a good one. Let's do with the tools first. Here is a kit of little fine screwdrivers, cross point and flat, and two types of needle nose pliers. These are available in this nice little zipper pouch in a number of places. Here's a larger kit. Now this is actually sold to use for computers, but you'll notice you've got two sizes of screwdrivers. You've got a Torx driver.
We couldn't see what the Torx driver was. Is that a Torx driver?
No, that's a Torx driver.
Okay.
Torx is a special bit. A couple of nut drivers. A nice little pickup tool.
Oh, it has hands.
Yes, it has what they call mechanic's fingers.
Oh, look
you
at that.
You can reach in there and get something very small and pick it up. Now, here's also something. A nice set of metric sockets. A little quarter drive ratchet. And this is a nice feature. Here's all your special bits, and they fit into a quarter socket and fit on there. Now here's some things I've added. A good sturdy pair of needle nose, a 3/32 Allen with a handle on it. This is a standard size for a lot of machines. And a flip screwdriver in case you really got to get a angle torque on breaking something loose.
I think you snitched that from me.
I did. I won't tell if you want.
I think I just told.
Oh, here's a few other things too. A magnetic retrieving tool, telescoping. This is called a tip drill. It's usually used to clean the tip on a torch, but it comes with a whole lot of these little tiny drill bits, and they're stored inside the handle.
Let me hold it close to the camera. I don't know if you all will be able to see, but it's a real drill bit. It's got little swirls on it, so I'm trying to make it so you can see. There you go.
But there's a lot of these of different sizes, larger than this slightly and a lot smaller than this. They're excellent for cleaning out little tiny fluted areas because you just operate it by hand and put a little bit of pressure on and it goes right in and cleans up. A nice grip handle cross point screwdriver. This is invaluable. This is your dental tool. The curvature of that tip lets you get in and free up those circlips that nobody wants to mess with. This is the best little finger you can possibly have. Sturdy tweezers, small scissors, two types of hemostats, curved and straight, because you can't always get these big fat fingers in where they need to be on some things. These come in handy. And a nice sturdy pry bar that looks like a flat screwdriver. I stole that from you too.
I thought that looked familiar.
It did. Okay. So I keep all these things stashed in my regular tool kits, and you will see if you show up at one of our shows and you ask Jack, this is what I will pull out to do the job. Now what we want to do is we want to disassemble a carriage.
What happened to the rest of it?
Right here.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, Catherine wants to know about the rust that's on this one.
Yeah, all of you will recognize. I've already taken off this part from this part. You all know how to do it. And I figured since we're fixing it up, well, this is not hurting the function. It's not gorgeous, and it's not a good sign. It's best to stop the rust. So while Jack is working with the rest of the carriage, I wanted him to tell me how to clean this up.
All right, you'll notice that is some pitted rust on there. So you're going to have to clean it with some steel wool. And then there's a product called Extend. It's a spray. And what it does is it turns this iron oxide back into ferrous metal. So you smooth your surface And where you can't stop this rust, that product will stop the rust. Catherine's going to take all these brushes off so that it's just the metal carriage. Then we'll do the cleanup. We'll spray these areas and we'll get rid of all that rust before we go back. You can have these re-chromed, but for the expense,
it's not worth it.
Do not recommend it.
I want to point out something. A lot of the things we're doing are perfectly fine for the metal, but they wouldn't do the brushes any good. At the very least, they're going to get them gummy. So I'm going to remove all the brushes and wheels. Every single one goes on with a normal screwdriver of some kind. But notice they're in a particular order and they're all different. And they'll go back on wrong, I know, because I've done it. So take a picture. Right now I'm taking a picture. I'll be able to get these back whether I remember or not. Underneath these, even though they're turning freely, I'm almost sure to find a bunch of fuzz. You always do. And it's certainly best to get it out. So if I find a big pile, as I suspect I will on this one, because look at what we're looking at, I'll show it to you. You'll be surprised how much there may be. In the meantime, you won't see me working on this because it's pretty straightforward, and I'll let Jack show you what he's going to do to this. Our customer has a similar model. This is a Singer or Studio 328. It's an older machine. I actually have 2 carriages for it, and the customer's problem is that these little wheels that I'm rotating, these read your punch cards, and hers are frozen. They won't move at all. They were fine when she set it aside, so we all know it's hardened oil and crud and time. But if they won't turn, of course, they won't read, and forcing it could break these and what they're trying to read and make it worse. This is an old and yellowed carriage. The plastic was once pale tan, and it's now a lovely yellow. And it has scratches. And this is the more beat up of the 2 carriages that I have for the machine, so I thought, well, let's restore this one and see how nice we can get it. Here he goes.
Okay, the product that we're going to use, you've heard me talk about it before, and I will say again, is called Marvel Mystery Oil.
I want to stop you. Jack just took these off. You all know what they are. Then these are what allows you to screw the sinker plate on, and you don't need any of the plastic parts to get soaked, so we're removing them. Go ahead.
It's exactly what I was getting into. The mystery oil will not hurt the plastic. However, it's going to change the color from this beautiful yellow to a really brown color. So since it is sensitive that your machine not get messed up, we definitely want to get all the plastic things off. And besides, you don't want these plastics and synthetic things soaking up all the oil that you want the metal to soak up. The Marble Mystery Oil is recommended because it soaks into the metal and forms a nice lubricitous coating on the metal.
Okay, say it 3 times fast. You can do it.
I know. I can on a good day. If you'll notice, what I'm doing is taking these screws out. Can you see what I'm doing? Okay.
It's showing up nicely.
And okay. We just took this handle off. I think it goes that way. And what the camera running out saved you from seeing was me struggling like crazy.
You need to get closer down here.
I know I will. This one barely has its cross point still in it, and that one's gone. So we'll have to either...
These are the screws that held the handle on, right?
These are the screws that held that handle on and screw into those bosses right there. They go right through the end of the handle, and you see where they come out in the slot and screw into here. But they're not. One of these is not going to come out again because
there it is.
The tip is absolutely gone. Where the screwdriver would go in there, it's completely squared off.
Now let me ask you a question other people are going to want to know. That's not standard go down to Walmart hardware. Where are we going to get some like that?
Well, what I do for me is a lot of times I will make one of these, and you can actually take this screw, take a hacksaw and cut right through the edge of that screw and make it a flat tip head instead of a cross point head. And what you have to do is, you see this screwdriver is too wide to go into that recessed area. So what you have to do is make this a slotted screw
For a teeny
and find one of the screwdrivers in the kit.
Okay, what would a person do who wasn't that confident with a hacksaw in tiny work like that?
You can go to a place like Fastenal and tell them I want one of these and see what they can come up with. What they may get you is, this is called a recessed head drive, and what they may come up with is a screw that has an Allen head like that recessed in there.
Oh, right. If you have a way to drive it, you don't care what
That's right.
as long as it fits.
And the recessed Allen screws are available. What you need to do is match this thread pattern, which is fairly common actually, and the size of this screw, which is also
and
fairly
a professional service like Fastenal would be able to help you match it if you don't have a way to measure your screw threads?
They absolutely would. They have gauges just like I have gauges.
All right.
All right, here we go. And I'll show you something that we were just discussing when I get this screw out. But if you'll notice, that screw head is not only cross point, but
oh yeah, that's a dual purpose.
It's also a slotted head, you see? So that's a common way to make sure you can get these old guys out once they've been in there for so long. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we go past 10.
You do. Wait, you probably have to have this in the stockinette position.
Okay. He says.
Okay, let's stop this.
Okay. Tell me when we're ready.
You're on.
Okay. We tried past 10 and no, it's not coming out. So what we do is we try past 0 and voila. Because
I could swear my others are 10 plus.
They are 10 plus, but there has to be a spot where that slot lines up and lets it off.
Okay. And some of them are obviously
now, and
the
again,
other way.
Here we go. I'm making a pile of screws. You know we have no trouble with that. Right, what you did not see, and I will show you in a second.
This is how to pop the dial out.
Right. And I gotta again get it to that posted position. There we go. See the little cam lobes on this? And there's your spring fingers right there that hold that on. When you turn the dial and it's clicking, it's because it's flexing those fingers. So what we had to do was reach in and flex the fingers away from this cam follower to get it up out of there. And again, this slot right here had to match this post once we started getting it up.
I want to point out a few things I'm looking at. In my opinion, for its age, this is not looking bad, but I am seeing some fuzz in here that we will eventually want to remove, and some grit on that surface. There's stuff to clean. It's not filthy, dirty, disgusting, but it could use a little help. So we're getting this in good time.
Right, and here, if you'll notice, I'm making patterns.
I see that, yep.
In the dried grease that was originally used. When they manufactured these, they used a white lithium grease. And we actually used that for years to manufacture engines until we finally found the good stuff.
And what's the good stuff?
Well, Melling Cam Lube is the good stuff, but the Marvel Mystery Oil and some other petroleum products are really longer lasting than those old white lithium greases.
Did we get the right stuff?
Yes, we did.
It says add to gas.
Oh, it says add to anything.
Okay, I'm going to show them while you work on that. This is the product he's talking about, and I happen to know from researching it myself that they have a website, and I think it's marvelmysteryoil.com, but Googling it produces good results. And it will tell you all the many and interesting things people have used it for. Most people love it. You will find a few haters on there who think it is just pretty much the devil's own oil. But there isn't any good evidence that it's ever caused the ghastly things that some people suspected of, and most people find it as useful as Jack is going to tell you. You'll see all that if you Google it and you look at the reviews.
It does say you can add it to the gas tank on your vehicle to increase the effectiveness of your fuel injectors. You can also add it to the... don't take it out.
Don't take that out. That's
No.
icky, sticky.
I know, but I want them to see what we discovered. This, and I mean, it is really wedged into that circlip right there.
Yeah, show people what a circlip is. Not everybody knows that term, and I wouldn't have known it if I didn't have you.
Oh, but you do have me. Watch what we do here. There's my little dental tool. Going to town.
To my eyes, a circlip is shaped like a C.
Well, there are, it's called a circlip because it's a clip that encircles the shaft in some fashion or other. Now, if you'll notice, this one is called an E-clip.
Lay it on your fingers so that it shows up better.
Looks like a little E.
Kind of does.
And the difference between it and the C-clip that you're talking about is this third member right in here.
There's a little part
slightly
sticking
magnetic. But yeah, it does the loop like a big E. But that clip, you can see
underneath it was
all these guys. And what was going to happen is eventually it was going to force that clip off of there.
Or lock up, like my friends did. Ours,
you can have that
looking
stuff.
at the amount of dried grease and the amount of dirt, I wasn't far away from this one refusing to play.
No. And now you can see, listen
Snip, clip.
to what what's actually going on when you move these things. The sound you hear is the spring tension as this changes position.
Okay, I'm looking at it upside down and backwards, but I think that is one of the levers that tells the needles whether to knit back from hold or not.
Yeah, that would be something right there. Whatever that 1 and 2 stands for.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, they're both directional levers, but again, here we're going to come around to the other side and look at what we've got. And you see, you'd have never seen that.
It would have just failed to work, and I would have said things a lady should never say.
On camera.
At all.
Okay, and again...
And the worst thing is, this always happens when you're making something for a baby shower this evening.
Right.
And you know, how hard can it be? It's a baby thing. But if it doesn't work right, if the machine doesn't work right, it's very hard.
Notice how that time I was successful in using the dental tool to flip that off of there. Now what
you are going to put them back, aren't you?
Oh yeah. But what you've got is, I'm going to try and get it on the camera.
Here's my collection so far.
You see the tool is in a groove on that shaft.
And that's where the clip will fit back?
That's where the clip fits back. So when that crud gets in there, it'll actually force the clip off of there, and you're right. It won't turn freely like that with that on there.
If a clip breaks, can anybody replace one, or do they just have to cry?
No, this is a good hardware store item. The circumference of the shaft is what tells you what size clip to use.
So if you have an old-fashioned hardware store in town, such as we do, you could even take this in pieces and have your hardware man measure it.
Right, and this is where this guy comes in handy. Actually, if you go to the hardware store, they have a chart, and they lay this down on the chart and move it around till it gets to the one that matches it, and that's how they give you what you need.
Kind of like a ring sizing chart.
Yeah. There you go.
It went
See,
in.
that's
Beautiful.
what these are good for.
Excellent.
Now, you can bite a finger really badly. And what you want to do is you want to work from the top side down, get it in position so that it's lined up and you feel it starting into the groove. Catch the back side of the shaft where the clip is open and move this finger out of the way. This hand stays out of the way once you start to squeeze. If it shoots off across the room, you go find it. It's better than pinching your
I want to
fingers.
ask you something. I know we're going to remove this because it's a plastic cover on a lever. But all of these in here, I think they're nylon. What do you think?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to tell you. They're nylon.
And this is going to upset some people that they're going to soak this in oil. What do you want to tell them about that?
Well, it's not going to hurt. There you go. There's some more of your friends.
Thank you.
It's not going to hurt that nylon a bit.
Okay.
The only thing it'll do is discolor it.
And we're not going to have to look at it.
You can't see it anyway.
So we'd rather it be running smoothly than be good to look at.
Yes. Here's another piece right here of the nylon.
Mm-hmm.
And you need it to move smoothly. Mm-hmm. However, you don't care what color it is, as long as it moves smoothly. Now,
I want you
could take these things apart and take them off, but I don't recommend that.
Well, they're kind of tricky to get back together in the right order.
Oh, yeah.
And if we don't have to remove them, I think that's the better way. However, I would like for you to remove this and the one on the other side, because they do show. Personally, I don't care if they're purple, and I'm not planning on reselling the machine. Machines come here and never leave, as you might have noticed. But somebody who did want to keep resale value would care.
Right. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting the tip of the screwdriver under that plastic.
That's needle nose pliers.
Yeah.
I'm going to back the camera up and look at you better.
Okay.
That's better.
And then pry up
I
by
see.
using this as a lever.
Okay, that worked.
Yeah. Okay, into the pile, and we'll do it again on this side.
Now, if you're not like Jack, who can always figure out where these things came from, you could always make a list and label them in a series of Ziploc bags.
I actually recommend taking a roll of masking tape and make yourself, in fact, I'll show you how to do that in just a second.
Make yourself a roll in order?
Well, no, there's a certain way to do it.
Okay.
And it helps when you do it when you're building transmissions, especially 13-speed transmissions, because you got a lot of things that are the same on there. Okay, let's get that. And here I'm going to use a piece of electrical tape, and the reason you use masking tape is because you can write on it. But
Where we have the electrical tape.
yeah, this is here from where I was repairing your computer. Get a nice long piece like this, lay your part down in the middle, fold it over, make a tag, and write on this tag.
Oh, and if it was masking tape, ballpoint pen would do it, or even
just,
pencil.
Right, just your crayon will work. Get your favorite Crayola out, and you can write on both sides of it, where it came from, which side, and what it was used for. What helps me when I first started was, what did this control? Because Catherine knows what all these levers do, and I do not. So that would have been the stitch return cap.
Okay, what I am signaling you for is to tell you we're approaching a 15-minute video, so let's take a break so that YouTube doesn't have a problem with it, and we'll make a part 2.
Okay.
It's pretty much a part. Is there anything else we want to take off?
No, there isn't. We just want to go in, and right here we're going to hand clean a bunch of this.
Well, we'll clean
between part 1 and part 2.
We'll do some hand cleaning, and we'll see you in a minute.